All right. David, we talked a little bit about the events on the 5th and 6th. Talk about a couple of other events that are going on in the month of September for Recovery Monday.
So we talked about
Recovery Month.
We talked about the 5th and the 6th.
Yeah.
Do we have some alumni events going on later in the month, Lila?
We have something every month. I can't remember what September is, but we just had our picnic Saturday.
Did you have a good turnout for that?
Yeah, it was really good. It was fun. It was very hot. The corn on the cob didn't go over so well because it was really hot.
I'll bet. All right, so and for people to find out what some of the other things that are going on, they would simply go to what website? Unity Point?
Yeah. The Unity Point is .org has got a lot of what they call Live Well events that go on a regular basis every month. So it'd be a good idea to go check those out and see some different things that are happening and going on. The ones that are more specific to recovery, like we were talking about, are the Drake event, the forum on Thursday,
on the 5th.
Yep, the 5th, and then the 6th we have the recovery conference, the Reclaiming Lives conference, and then that evening, of course, is the anonymous people showing, which we're very excited about. That's going to be a great night.
All of this is on our is on Facebook too for Powell CDC alumni and friends.
All right. Do you have? This is maybe an ignorant question, but I'm curious. How many people? What percentage of people go through Powell and they get into recovery, but they never get involved with the recovery community? But you'll run into them 6 months, 6 years later, and they're clean and sober. But they don't go to meetings. They don't belong to the alumni association. They don't do anything with the recovery community. Is there what percentage of clients would you say fall into that category, or does that even measured?
Well, it's not measured exactly that way, but I think that we know that people who don't get involved with some sort of system of support, whether it's 12-step community, or if it's a different version of the 12 steps, say like with Celebrate Recovery, which is run over there at Hope, the Road of Recovery, which is up in United Methodist Church at Ankeny. These are all different kind of versions of the social support that you really need to keep going once you get started in recovery. Even if somebody never gets into a 12-step related program, but they reconnect with church, for example, or they reconnect to some sort of community organization that they had gravitated away from because of their addiction, those are the ones that are successful. The people who try to really do it on their own and just sort of, what's the term, white knuckle it?
Yeah.
It's very difficult to stay
dry
sober.
drunk.
Yeah.
That's a term.
Here's the problem. If we gave you a percentage, then who's ever out there listening would think, if we said it's less than 1%, then they would think, oh, I'm that 1%.
Okay.
So it's pretty dangerous to give a percentage out there because everyone wants to be different. They want to do it the easy, which they think is the easy way.
But it's not. I don't know how many times I've heard in the rooms over the years, I stopped going to meetings.
And that's when they relapse.
I stopped calling my sponsor. I lost my sponsor and I didn't get another one. That's it's just amazing to me that this world exists of recovery, because as someone who knew nothing about it 4 years ago, and to know that there's this, I mean, it's almost underground, because you don't hear
said that.
Yeah, you don't hear a lot about it, and there's some people that have been in recovery for years, and you don't know it. They don't talk about it. They don't wear it on their sleeve. They go to meetings quietly. They really do want that anonymous part of that 12-step program. I told you about that one meeting that I went to that was all men. I had one guy that I've known for years. I've done business with him for 15, 20 years. And he came up and put his arm around me and he said, "I've been waiting for you to come in here." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Oh, I knew you were an alcoholic." I said, "Come on, how'd you know?" And I then later learned that the actions of an alcoholic happen 24/7. They don't just happen when you have a drink in your hand or after you've been drinking, which just blew me away. That someone who is addicted to drugs or alcohol acts in a certain fashion even when they're sober.
Sure.
That's craziness. At least to me it was.
In my mind, I'm sitting there going, yeah, we're pretty self-centered and selfish is how we act.
Yeah.
Well, aren't we all? I mean, that's part of the human condition.
Yeah.
I always, whenever I get a chance, if I'm teaching communication skills or, doing individual counseling or doing a lecture down on the unit, I mean, what addiction tends to do, it takes those very basic negative things about us as humans and amplifies them and makes them so much worse. And,
Yeah.
It just makes it, it's the center. You are the center.
Yeah. And there is no way that I can describe to an individual, either addicted or not, alcoholic or not, the difference a recovery program will do for someone. I wish everybody at one point or another had to go through a 12-step program. Mm-hmm. And they could just replace alcohol with whatever their fear is, whatever their frustration is, wherever their resentments come from. And I just think this whole world would be a lot better off if everybody had some idea about what a 12-step program
My
was.
small group at church asked my husband and I if we would do the 12 steps with them. And none of them are addicted to anything, but they were just interested in the program.
We did the same thing.
Yeah.
Mark R. and I did the very same thing with one of our Bible study, our men's group. There's probably 15 guys. And we took 12 weeks and we went through the 12 steps and every one of them learned something and were somewhat fascinated about it. And everybody at least seemed appreciative that we had done it. And well, anyway.
Yeah.
I won't go into my speech about the normies. Well, yes, I will. I've always said that when I first got into the program, I heard about these normies as if they were the good guys. I think we're the good guys. We're the ones that have the humility to drop to our knees and ask God to fix us and follow whatever it is our fellow man and God wants us to do. The normies sit out there and just plug through life without a raincoat on, and it's just pouring down rain. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that makes my wife mad, so she probably
Not
just
all
shut
of
off
them,
the radio.
just some of them.
All right, when we come back, I want to hear a little of your story.
Sure.
How you got here and how you got into recovery. David Captain is our guest today. Lila Stafford, my co-host, Bob Montserrat, the Cat in the Hat, and Father Tattoo, producing this edition of Recovery Monday on the 26th day of August in the Lord's year 2013, brought to you by Powell CDC. Powered by webcast1live.com and live on 99.3 KTIA, Iowa.
I'm Brian Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershot.
I'm administrative mmanager
I'm the senior technician.
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
You know, if we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, you know, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be, it's your home.
You know, it's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're gonna do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's going to be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're going to do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed rider it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we'd fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you gonna say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're gonna be listening. They're gonna wanna know what your challenges are. Then they're gonna come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you know, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me, but is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though, I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm gonna take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
We're back 22 minutes before the top of the hour. Salem Radio Network News at 4. And then Pastor Michael Mudloff from Westkirk Presbyterian Church with his radio program, True Blue. I'm J. Michael McCoy. If I haven't told you lately, thanks for listening. I love my job. I couldn't do it without you. We do it every Monday right here with the great support of Powell CDC. And I want you to know how much I appreciate you guys backing this.
Well, thanks.
It is expensive to run your own personal radio and TV station on the web. And Powell stepped up with some dollars that help us support. But I would have done the program without. In fact, we started doing the program without, just because I was so in love with this concept. And I get emails, I get calls. I'll have somebody stop me in the hall at church or at Hy-Vee, and they'll say they heard the program. And I love the cards and letters that we get with the stories about something that was said here that makes a difference in somebody's life. And the reason we do this is not so much talking to the addict or the alcoholic, but to you, the spouse, or the mother or father, or the sibling, or the coworker, or just a friend of somebody that you might be concerned about. And we do this program so we educate you on how to help them. Now, remember, the number one rule is nothing will help them until they want to help themselves. No amount of love, no amount of anything is going to make a difference until they decide, or the court decides, that they need help. But Powell CDC is a place that you can go. You can talk to the counselors there. Do you guys do interventions?
Yes.
All right. So you can plan an intervention. And that's something you can be proactive on to try to get that one that you love, that one that you care about, in treatment. Because whatever it's doing to destroy the relationships that addict or alcoholic has around them, the opposite will come true once they've gone through recovery. Life changes for everyone around. And it's amazing that you will actually know what the word serenity means. You will actually have peace in your life. My wife used to say over and over, and it had nothing to do with alcoholism. She said, I just wish you could find some peace in your life. I thought, well, I don't know what that is. What's peace? I don't know what rest in peace. I don't want peace. Now I know what peace is.
I want to mention too that we do have recovery for families as well. We have a program for the families.
So when the addict or alcoholic is going through the program, there's also support there to help teach the families how to deal with it and what they're going through. That's important.
Yeah, I agree with Lila. It's a fantastic. It happens 2 nights a week, and we've got a great family staff, and a lot of community awareness about our family program as far as being one that's very, very helpful, educational.
Yeah, because when one person changes, it changes the entire family, and unconsciously, people, if they haven't gone through treatment or don't know how to support the person, they can unconsciously pull them back to where they were because that's comfortable. Yeah, comfortable place for them. Yeah. So
I remember one of the first meetings that I went to, and a buddy of mine who I had no idea was in recovery. I just knew that he hadn't come around to my bars or restaurants for years, and I just thought he was going someplace else. No, he had been sober 7 or 8 years. But he said to me, he said, how's your marriage? I said, well, I think it's pretty good. You know, we're ups and downs, been together at this time. It was 17 years. And he said, well, there's probably a 50-50 chance your marriage won't make it. What? I get sober and I turn my life over to the will of God and my marriage may not make it? And he said, no, because the spouse is used to a certain type of person and they may not like the person you become. Even if you're a better person, they may not like it. So I can see how that family program would be extremely important.
Yep.
So what brought you here? Obviously, you're a highly educated man to be able to be an administrator over a hospital program, but you're also passionate about recovery from your own personal life.
Yeah, it's it's been a very interesting journey for me personally. I've been at Iowa Lutheran Hospital working in behavioral health for 23 years this fall, and had some very instrumental experiences, I think, early on in my recovery that helped kind of shape to where I'm at today. And it's all, you talk about how God moves through people and programs and places and situations. And I know that that's true for me as well. And did you just kind of want to hear about my story of recovery then, get started that way?
We've got 5 minutes before the break if you can.
Basically I started using drugs and alcohol and was a real mean drunk, as well as a very avid marijuana smoker, and used every day when I could, and which was most days. And I did that all through most of high school and all through my college experience. And what I never really realized was the level that it had progressed to for me as addiction, and I think we were talking about marijuana a little bit earlier, that as far as dependency, and there is a dependency syndrome that they've identified in recent years as far as research is concerned, that people do become dependent on marijuana, and you try to quit it and you get irritable, you can't sleep, and you get headaches, and you just feel ill at ease. And I remember experiencing all of those things, and yet I had never come to the conclusion when I couldn't get pot, or I got in trouble with the law one time and decided to lay off for a while. And I had all of those symptoms, but I never really connected that to having become addicted or anything along those lines. And so I did that. I did all of this for about 6 years. In the meantime, prior to me getting sober, I had met my wife of 23 years, Holly, who I'm so glad that she chose to stick with me, through these things. But she said, we don't have much of a history. We don't have much of a future together if you continue to smoke pot. And I was like, no problem. I can quit anytime, and it was very easy to lie to her because she was finishing up college. We both went to two different universities. And so we had a long distance relationship, no Skype, no nothing like that back in those days. And you could, it was very easy to just say I was not doing those things anymore. And when we both graduated and I moved out to Iowa, we were to become married. And it was the first time in years that I had been sober. I had no marijuana, had really cut back on my drinking for a period of 30 days. And I'm starting to grow a conscience again, And I realized that I could not continue to lie to her about what had been going on for the previous year and a half. And so 2 weeks before we were to be married, I told her, I said, I really have something I have to tell you. I just feel, I feel so guilty, and I know that I should not have been doing these things. And I came clean and told her, and she almost didn't marry me, and it took her a couple of days to decide to do so, which I'm, like I said, very grateful that she did. And that was the beginning of my recovery. Now, I didn't get into an organized program of recovery like the 12 steps or anything along those lines for a long period of time. And I basically, we got married, and we had a hard 3 to 4 years of marriage. It was very difficult. Fought, angry, resentful. I knew I was resentful at her, irrationally, because I wasn't smoking pot anymore. I still used to kind of argue with her and with myself about whether it was a good thing, and maybe I should be able to retire someday and smoke pot again. And
I think a lot of people who smoke pot have a hard time admitting that there's something wrong with it.
Yeah, you really do. I mean, it becomes something you kind of fall in love with it, And
you don't really get in trouble. I mean, not like alcohol where you're standing on tables yelling at people.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you sit in the corner and eat Cheetos.
Yeah,
is the stereotype.
Yeah, or go out and play Frisbee or do whatever fun things that you justify it any number of ways. But the long-term impact on development and achievement and things like that is there's just a lot of evidence for it. So I'm very glad I was able to, let that go. But it wasn't until I really reconnected with my faith and reconnected with some instrumental men at the church that I was going to at the time that really kind of helped me reconnect with Christ as my Lord and to get my life in order. And we immediately became more happy and harmonious at home. It's certainly not perfect, never is, but
well, when Jesus lives at the center of your relationship or your life, there is a piece to it.
Right. And so now today I'm a huge advocate for the 12 steps and for AA and Celebrate Recovery and all of those things, because what I needed, and I wasn't happy until I got with other individuals that knew what my struggles were and could understand and accept me for who I was. And it was that social support beyond just being married that was so
from the RE/MAX Real Estate,
stay on the track I was on.
All right, we'll continue with our interview with David Captain from Powell CDC.
Concept Studios. This is Webcast One Live.
A father who is headed toward another heart attack. A woman who struggles daily with diabetes and her memory. A boy whose headaches keep him out of school. A mother who one morning discovers a lump. A girl whose condition defies diagnosis. You come to us because you need answers, but you also need more. You need understanding of what you're going through. You need comfort. You need to be treated as an individual, not a condition. You need to be included in your own care. You are the point of everything we do. That's why we're changing to Unity Point Health. It's a model of care that will help us work better together, where the physician who knows you best takes the lead, coordinating your care through every step, from the hospital to specialists to rehabilitation to health services in the home and in the community, to making sure the treatments are effective. By working as a team, we surround you with care, helping you manage your health and your conditions, guiding you to making better choices and living a healthier life. The point of Unity is you. Unity Point Health.
If Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of America was your personal webmaster, Tom would filter out all bad debt emails. If Tom was your mailman, you'd never get any debt reduction junk mail. If Tom Coates was a lineman, he'd block any phone calls offering to reduce your credit card debt.
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America, and we're still your best choice for credit counseling. We're local, we're accountable, and we can do more. You make the call when the time's right for you.
When it comes to competition, there really is none for Consumer Credit of America.
At 10 before the top of the hour here on Recovery Monday, brought to you by Powell CDC. David Captain, the manager of the Powell CDC program, is here along with Lila Stafford, who's my co-host every week on Recovery Monday. Now, Bob, off microphone, we were talking during the break, and I want to get into this a little bit, that on the legalization of marijuana, they have now figured out... I thought what I heard you say was they have figured out a way to measure how stoned you are, basically. I mean, you blow into a blow and go, or whatever it's called, and you know how much your blood alcohol is affected, but there's no way to do that with marijuana. But there is a test now through blood test?
Right. Within the laboratory, we can quantitate the amount of THC or the metabolism of THC. What it breaks down within your body, we can measure that using the instrumentation. And so, like a state like Colorado has set limits. You cannot be operating motor vehicles, kind of like a per se law like we have here for alcohol, that they're doing in Colorado, that if you are driving erratically and they have reason to pull you over, probable cause, then they can take a blood sample and send it to the laboratory to see if you're violating the law of operating while under the influence of marijuana.
So they would keep people in jail until it came back from the lab? How long does it take? That sounds confusing.
Well, no, usually, well, with alcohol, of course, if they send the blood in for us to test alcohol, it takes me, which I do the alcohols, it would take me about a week or two to get the results back to them. So in that case, they issue or may send them to jail for overnight or whatever, and then send them home and give them a temporary driving permit. They have to make sure that they're not under the influence when they're released. So they would have to figure out a way to do that.
If you're diabetic, they have these new ways that they can test the blood sugar with just a simple thing on your finger. Can you see a day come when that can be done immediately on the roadside when a cop pulls you over and he pricks your finger or does whatever to get a blood sample and immediately he's told the levels of THC?
Yes, I think we'll eventually get there. They do have preliminary tests, field tests for other drugs. You can put a urine in there if you have a urine, and you can get an idea if there is anything in there. And they're working on even saliva testing. That's the latest thing that's coming out, that you can take a saliva sample and determine the drugs the person is on. Now, the matter is, can you quantitate it? That's the problem, and that's where the laboratories are there.
Not just whether they have it, but how much of it do they have?
Correct. And that's the thing that you're not, at this point, they're not going to be able to tell how much, but they can determine that it's there.
Wow. But a recovery center such as Powell would prefer, I'm asking a question by making a statement, but would prefer that marijuana not be legalized.
Yeah, I mean, it just would be more accessible to a wider scope of people. It'd be easier for kids to get it. It's just similar to the way it is for alcohol. I mean, and the other thing is socially it becomes more acceptable because it's legal. So why are you worried? I can handle it.
Well, I think that's the same problem with the synthetic
cannabinoids
is that if it's legal, if they're selling it, and we're not stopping it, then let's do it, and that's really bad.
Yeah, and I tell you, I've seen and heard of so many examples of kids, young adults who overdose on the synthetic marijuana more than any drug trend that I've been aware of in the last few years. It's not normal marijuana, so it has really bad effect on people's mental health.
Yeah, and the problem that we have in the laboratory is that there are 500 different possibilities. So once we legalize, or I should say outlaw or schedule it, then they'll just change the formulation just a little bit.
Yeah.
That makes it legal. Still dangerous.
Yeah, I know a young man, I think he's 23, 24, who is in a 12-step program for narcotics. And he went out and did some research not too long ago, and that's what he went to. He went to the synthetic marijuana, and it was just terrible. I mean, it's just terrible.
Worse. It is worse.
It is much worse.
And there are people that have tried it that are saying we're going back to marijuana. That's the reality.
Yeah, it's bad stuff. It's bad stuff. All right. Well, I sure appreciate you guys being here. Now, we're going to run out of time, but real quickly, prescription drugs. That's really the new frontier, one of the new frontiers in the recovery world, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, a large percentage of our patients are coming in addicted to opiate-based painkillers, your Oxycontins, Vicodins, fentanyls. It's just, it's difficult, especially if there's an alcohol addiction as well, and possibly, use of tranquilizers or, anti-anxiety medicines. That's a real mess when somebody comes in with, all three of those. But we're very concerned about the high percentages.
Say those three: opiates,
anti-anxiety, which is like your Xanax. Cymbalta is an antidepressant. But Xanax is, Valiums, things like that. And then if alcohol is in there too, that's a very complicated detox and dangerous. People need to go into the hospital in order to come out of that safely. But there's a high percentage of people who come in addicted to opiate painkillers, much more so than we saw 5 years ago.
A guy that we had on a show not too long ago talked about the fact that kids would have farm parties, only it's not FARM, it's PHARM, and there'd be a bowl. And the kids would walk in and just dump whatever they had from their parents' medicine cabinet, and then they just take a handful of whatever it is and see what happens.
Yeah.
I hear about that. My kids have talked about that. With some of the fraternities.
It's just craziness.
It is crazy.
I mean,
scary. Scary.
I mean, that's a lot worse than drinking too much.
Yeah.
Drinking too much is a bad deal. Don't get me wrong, but Man, that's really messing with you, I would think.
But very frequently, it's like alcohol is present as well, and so that that makes a very dangerous combination because you don't know what you're getting, and you don't know if you've had too much alcohol that's going to interact badly with whatever medicine that they might have taken.
Well, alcohol doesn't mix well with any other chemical.
No, when you look at the movie stars, and a lot of them have died from a mixture of alcohol and other drugs.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon. That's what we just saw one recently on that one Glee star.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That star of Glee.
Yeah, Belushi, you can just name them off.
Oh, yeah.
Every time you turn around. Well,
opiates and alcohol. Do it every time.
I keep, now, what's her name? Lindsay Lohan has now come out of her upteenth number of rehabs, and she says now she's done. She knows the error of her way, and we won't be seeing her back there again.
And that may be true.
Yeah. Good. But we also want, there's a guy in one of my 12-step programs, and he went to treatment 12 times. Mike, right?
Yeah.
Before it stuck.
Yeah.
And now he's been sober for 30 years, 20-some years.
Yeah, a lot.
And so don't throw it out the window if it doesn't work after the first time. And don't blame the treatment center.
Right.
The treatment center's doing their job 100% of the time. It comes down to the willingness of the individual who is addicted. David, thanks for being here. You're always welcome back.
Yep, thanks for having me.
Lila, appreciate you being here. Bob Montserrat, the Cat in the Hat, thank you. And Father Tattoo. Until we meet again, do me one favor. Pray. All right.